Listen closely, because what I'm about to say is going to jolt you awake. You've been handling toxic people all wrong. You think the solution is drawing boundaries, cutting them off, or avoiding them, but that's survival mode. That's weak. I'm going to show you how to truly reclaim your power, because let's be real, these toxic people, they're not disappearing. You remove one, another pops up. You avoid one at work, but they show up in your family. You think relocating to a different city will help. It won't. Toxic people are everywhere, so the smartest move isn't about getting rid of them, it's about changing you. Toxic people are like a virus, but a virus can only affect you if your immune system is weak. You stop being affected by toxic people when you stop allowing their poison into your life. When you build yourself so strong, so calm, so steady, that their games, their lies, and their bad energy don't even make a dent. These toxic people only have one tool, your reaction. That's it. They don't have actual control. They don't hold real power over your life. They can't ruin anything unless you open your mind and heart to them. They live for that moment you snap, break down, or begin to question yourself. They feed off your frustration, your anger, and your confusion. And the moment you give them that reaction, they win. They'll push you. They'll poke at every wound you have. They'll test your patience. They'll say exactly what triggers you because they want control. That's their addiction. They play with guilt. They twist the truth. They want you so stressed, so emotional, and so lost in their mess that you stop seeing clearly. But here's the truth. They're powerless if you stop giving them a reaction. You have to understand this so deeply that it changes how your mind works. The second you stop reacting, you become untouchable. The moment you refuse to give them what they want, they lose all influence over you, and when they realize they can't disturb your peace, they start to panic, because once your reaction disappears, their power fades. Ever notice how they act out even more when you stay calm? That's because they're losing control. They feel their grip slipping, so they get meaner. They throw bigger fits. They insult you worse. But that's exactly when you know you're winning. That's when you remain calmer. You don't fight. You don't defend yourself. You don't explain yourself to someone who is determined not to understand you. Toxic people feed off drama. They need you to be emotional. They want you caught in their trap. But when you stay cool, when you refuse to bite the bait, they're forced to face something they run from, their own emptiness. They can't handle it. They need someone to argue with, someone to control, someone to blame. When you give them nothing, they're left with only themselves. And they hate that. You don't need to fight with them. You don't need to convince them. You don't need to earn their respect or make them see your point. You win the moment you stop letting them influence your mind. Your peace is your weapon. Your self-control is your shield. The strongest person in any room isn't the loudest. It's the one who stays calm while everyone else explodes. Every time you react, you teach them that their behavior works, but the second you stop reacting, the fire dies. No reaction means no fuel. No attention means no power. They'll try everything to drag you back in guilt, anger, pity, provocation. They'll say things that cut you deep. They'll go after your soft spots. But once you realize that their words are just noise, you'll stop being hurt by them. It's not just about ignoring them. It's about training yourself. It's about knowing that their opinions are useless. Their approval doesn't matter. Their insults are worthless. Nothing they say or do changes your worth. The only thing that shapes your life is what you give energy to. They don't control your emotions. You do. They don't decide your mood. You do. And the moment you start owning your emotions, you become someone they can't reach. Most people go through life being controlled by toxic people, letting one mean comment destroy their day, letting one argument throw off their focus, letting one person's chaos drain their spirit. That's weakness. That's giving away your power, but that's not who you are. You're not meant to be manipulated. You're meant to be in charge of yourself. Imagine if their words didn't touch you. Imagine if their actions didn't move you. Imagine if their games had no effect. That's strength, that's freedom, that's how you break free. Not by running, not by hiding, but by becoming so unaffected that they can't reach you. They'll try to shake you, but only if you allow it. They'll try to make you question everything, but only if you listen. They'll try to make you feel less than, but only if you believe them. But when you decide that none of it matters, they lose. The most dangerous person in the world is the one who can't be controlled. And the way to become that person is simple. Don't react, don't let them in. Don't allow their poison to enter your mind, because the second you do, they win. But if you stay calm, stay silent, stay detached, they lose all access to your power. And you take back everything. They don't deserve your energy. They don't deserve your explanations. They don't deserve your heart. Every second you spend explaining yourself, trying to fix them, hoping they'll understand, that's time you never get back. And here's the truth. They already understand. They know what they're doing. They're just choosing to keep doing it. You keep hoping if you explain it right, they'll get it. If you show them love, they'll change. If you hold on longer, they'll treat you better, but they won't, because toxic people don't want peace. They don't want resolution. They want control. They want you confused. They want you drained. They want you second guessing yourself. The hardest truth to face is that some people are committed to misunderstanding you. You can give them all the evidence, be as clear as possible, and they will still twist it, because they're not after truth, they're after control. And when you finally see that, you stop trying, you stop explaining, you stop hoping, you stop wishing they would change, because they won't. They have no plans to grow. That's why you must remove your energy, not just physically, but mentally. Because even if you go no contact, even if you walk away, if you're still thinking about them, they still own a piece of you. That's what they want. They don't need to be present to control you. If they live in your head, they're still winning. The only way to win is to make them irrelevant, not by blocking, not by erasing, but by not caring. When their opinion means nothing, when their words don't matter, when their presence is just background noise, that's when you're free. You have to stop waiting for closure. Stop expecting an apology. Stop thinking there will be a moment where they say they were wrong. That moment isn't coming, and even if it did, it wouldn't fix anything. Because an apology from someone who doesn't care is just another form of manipulation. They don't apologize because they mean it. They say sorry to keep you hooked, and every time you let them back in, you start over. You don't owe them a conversation. You don't owe them another shot. What you owe is to yourself. You owe yourself peace. You owe yourself space. You owe yourself a life without their chaos. And that life starts the second you stop giving them your energy. Toxic people can't survive without attention. They need someone to play with, someone to control, someone to argue with. The second you stop being that person, they start to fade. They get desperate. They act out, they fight harder to get back in. But if you stand firm, they eventually move on. They look for someone else who will give them what you no longer will. Because here's another truth, they don't treat everyone this way. They pick people who are kind, people who care, people who believe in second chances, people who find it hard to walk away. That's why it's been so hard. You're not weak, you're strong, and they saw that. And they tried to destroy it. They trained you to feel bad for protecting yourself, but you don't owe them anything. Not your time, not your energy, not your kindness. You are allowed to let go. You are allowed to choose you. You are allowed to walk away without guilt. And when you do, something amazing happens. You realize you never needed them. It was always the other way around. They needed you. They fed off your light, your heart, your strength. And when you finally say enough, you win. They wanted you to believe that losing them was a loss, but what are you really losing? Stress, chaos, the constant feeling of not being enough. That's not a loss. That's freedom. You don't need their permission to move on. You don't need their approval to heal. The only thing you need is to decide that their part in your life is over. They thought they broke you. They thought they'd left a wound that would never heal, but what they don't know is that every bit of pain they caused became your fuel. Every insult, every betrayal, every lie, you turned it into power. You're building a life so strong that their memory becomes irrelevant. You're becoming someone so unstoppable that they can't even touch your world. They tried to weaken you, but they made you dangerous. The real revenge, it's not silence, it's not distance, it's success, it's peace, it's being completely untouchable, it's becoming someone they can never reach again. They trained you, sharpened you, built you through their attempts to destroy you. And now, you're rising, you're thriving, you're becoming everything they hoped you wouldn't. And that's the part they'll never recover from. They don't see it, but your silence has become the loudest thing in the room. They can't hear your laughter like before. They don't get your texts like they used to. They no longer feel the warmth of your concern, and for the first time, you're not there to ease their chaos. They will notice. Maybe not today, maybe not even this week, but one morning when their soul is aching and they reach for the comfort you used to offer, they will realize something's different. You're no longer theirs to hurt. You were never weak for loving them. You were strong for holding on, even when every part of your soul whispered to let go. But now you're stronger because you finally listened to that whisper. You finally understood that self-respect is louder than attachment, and peace is more valuable than approval, and the version of you that once begged to be chosen is gone. She's been replaced by someone fierce, someone who doesn't chase, doesn't plead, doesn't shrink herself to fit inside someone else's indecision. They thought you'd always be there, that they could hurt you and you'd stay, that they could ignore you and you'd still show up. But you're rewriting that script now. You're teaching them that access to you is earned, not owed, that your presence is a gift, not a guarantee, that your soul is a sacred space, not a dumping ground for their confusion, projection, or emotional chaos. And no, you don't have to get revenge. Life has a way of exposing those who take good hearts for granted. You don't have to make announcements. Your absence will say everything. Your detachment is the storm they never saw coming, not because you want to hurt them, but because you finally chose to heal. It's wild, isn't it? How peace looks like silence to those who benefited from your noise. How your boundaries look like betrayal to those who used to walk through you like an open door. But you've learned now, not everyone deserves access to your energy. Not everyone deserves to sit at your table, even if you once fed them when your own soul was starving. You don't owe anyone the version of you that abandoned herself. That woman, the one who over-explained, overgave, and overlooked everything, is resting now. She did her best, but this version is quiet. She's calm. She's protective of her energy. She doesn't argue, she watches. She doesn't chase, she attracts. She doesn't beg. She blesses and walks away. They don't get to know you now, not like before. They don't get to see your wins, your peace, your glow. They don't get to witness the way you rebuilt yourself from the ashes of their neglect. Because healing made you private. Growth made you quiet, and self-worth made you selective. You're not bitter. You're just no longer available for chaos disguised as love. You're not cold. You've just learned to stop setting yourself on fire to warm others. You're not arrogant. You just finally see yourself clearly. You finally understand that you are not for everyone, and that's a beautiful thing. You finally accept that sometimes closure is not an apology or a conversation. It's a decision. A decision to stop waiting for people to realize your worth and start treating yourself like you already know it. You walked through the fire, and you didn't come out empty. You came out with the wisdom to never walk back into what burned you. You came out with the kind of strength that doesn't scream, it just simply refuses to break. You don't need validation. You don't need their permission to move on. You don't even need them to understand your silence. It's not for them, it's for you. You're protecting your peace now like your life depends on it. Because it does. You're moving different because you're not who you used to be, and that confuses them. They don't understand how the same woman who used to beg, cry, and compromise now says no. Without guilt, now disappears without drama, now loves herself more than the idea of being loved by someone who never truly saw her. Let them wonder, let them replay the moments in their head, let them feel the weight of your absence. Because now you are busy building a life that doesn't include explaining your worth. A life where your joy isn't dependent on someone else's validation. A life where your silence isn't a punishment, it's a boundary. A life where you are so rooted in your own spirit that not even the deepest manipulation can shake you. You're not heartless, you just finally placed your heart in your own hands. You're not broken, you're healing. You're not angry, you're aware, and that awareness, that's your superpower. That's the reason you'll never be treated the same again. So keep rising, quietly, powerfully, unapologetically. Keep walking away from what drains you and toward what fills you. Keep choosing yourself even when it's lonely. Keep speaking less and doing more, because your evolution doesn't require witnesses. It requires courage, and you, my dear, have more than enough. You didn't lose them, they lost you. And one day they'll sit with the truth of that. But by then you'll be far too healed to care, far too peaceful to respond, far too focused on your journey to even look back. Keep going. Your silence is sacred. Your detachment is holy, and your peace, that's your new power. And maybe you won't be the loudest one in the room. You won't always clap back or correct the lies they say about you. But the strength in you will be seen in your silence, in your refusal to argue, in how you move different, how you protect your energy like it's your last breath. You won't throw dirt back at the people who threw it at you, because you're building something greater now, something sacred. You're not here to prove anything. You're here to become something they can no longer reach. You used to explain yourself, hoping someone would just understand your heart. But now, you've learned that people hear only what fits their limited view. So, you've stopped explaining. You've stopped defending, because the truth doesn't need convincing. It only needs peace to bloom. You walk away not because you're weak, but because your soul deserves more than conflict and chaos. Because your future deserves room to grow. You used to hold on to people who let you down repeatedly, giving second chances like candy, hoping they'd finally value you. But now you know that if someone truly values you, they won't put you in a position to question your worth. So you let go, not out of bitterness, but out of wisdom, out of deep, powerful self-love. You stopped needing closure because you realized closure isn't something they give you, it's something you give yourself. You choose peace over patterns, growth over guessing. You don't chase apologies from people who aren't sorry. You don't chase love from people who can't even love themselves. You stay rooted in your truth, grounded in your power, because you know who you are now. And no one can take that from you. Sometimes you still feel the ache, the memory of the pain, the sting of betrayal, but you don't run from it anymore. You sit with it. You let it teach you, shape you, sharpen you. Because that pain became your teacher. It stripped you down and rebuilt you stronger. It made you fierce and tender at the same time. And now, when you look in the mirror, you don't see damage, you see depth. You see a soul that has walked through fire and came out glowing. You stopped being available to people who only wanted your light when it was convenient for them. You stopped answering calls from people who only reached out to drain you. You stopped showing up for people who never showed up for you. That's not selfish, that's survival, that's healing, that's finally choosing you. You've learned how to be alone without being lonely. You've learned how to sit in stillness and hear your soul speak. You've learned how to become your own home, your own safety, your own guide. And because of that, you walk differently now, not with arrogance, but with awareness. You don't need validation. You don't need a crowd. You only need alignment. You've become so in tune with your peace that anything threatening it feels like poison, so you stay away, not because you hate them, but because you love yourself too much to go back to what broke you. You love your future too much to repeat the same story. You love your soul too much to stay where it dims. They'll say you changed, and you did. You grew. You rose. You stopped tolerating the bare minimum. You stopped breaking yourself to fix others. You stopped hoping they'd see your value and started showing it to yourself. And now you're no longer for everyone, and that's your power, because you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to break cycles, to heal lineages, to set new standards, to be the example of what happens when a person finally remembers who they are. So stand tall. Let your silence speak. Let your energy protect you. Let your boundaries teach others how to treat you. Let your journey unfold without apology, because you've come too far to shrink now. You've felt too much to be numb again. You've grown too deep to be moved by surface-level people. This is your era of becoming untouchable, not because you're cold, but because you're clear, not because you're distant, but because you're divine, and no one, not even the ones who once had access to your heart, gets to enter without honor now. Let them wonder, let them gossip, let them think they figured you out, because while they're stuck in circles, you're out here evolving in silence, building in secret, rising in truth. Keep glowing, keep growing. Keep choosing you, because you're no longer afraid to walk away. You're no longer afraid to be alone. You're no longer afraid to let go of what once felt like everything, because now you see it clearly. It wasn't love if it required you to betray yourself to keep it. The most dangerous version of you is the one who finally stopped doubting her worth, the one who finally stopped giving unlimited access to people who didn't earn it, the one who stopped performing for love and started embodying it. The one who finally understands that peace is the new power. So let them talk, let them walk, let them regret, but you keep healing, keep winning, keep rising, because the version of you they once knew, she's gone, and in her place stands a woman made of fire, wisdom, and unshakable light.